off, you set an appointment, you took a listing, you had a closing. Let's get everyone to put a positive focus in the chat, and then I'm going to read through them, and any that are really juicy, I'm going to get you to chime in. And Sasha signing, starting out on the first of the year, getting the first of many contracts signed. That's awesome. Way to start strong. All right, positive focus, get in the chat. Today we're doing lead conversion challenge, which is really like every quarter should be a lead conversion challenge, but I'm gonna take you guys through what all that looks like. And I am not letting anyone's AI record. I'm just denying them all. Cameras on if you guys are able. Actually, just cameras on either way, even if you're not able. All right, let's see what's doing here. Worked every day last week, 24 would be amazing. Awesome. Continuing, yeah. So Joe said continuing prospecting through the holidays. I saw a YouTube video from the guy that, if you guys went to the Digital Growth Summit, we had this guy on, Buy Back Your Time, Dan Martell. Awesome book in alignment with everything we teach at Real Estate B School. He did a video where, all the momentum is lost in business, real estate agents and any other business around the holidays, because you just get out of your routines, and even if you keep things on simmer, like never get out of your routines if you can avoid it. If you're on vacation, you're on vacation, but if you're not, then you've got your new business development going. All right, cameras on. Let's get ready to rumble. So worked every day. Awesome. New listing coming on Thursday. That's amazing. Team retreat. That's awesome. Double closings on 12/29. Was that Friday? That was Friday. That's awesome. Lindsay, way to end the year strong. Closing last week and set appointment. My first workday of the new year. Amazing. New agent, shadow to productive open house. We've got a really good open house system. Referral fee check deposited on 1/1. That's good. Cash in the bank, first day of the year. Prospecting, got a Google review, listing today, networking, meeting a new buyer. Mark capped out in 2 months. That's amazing. Put enough under contract in December to cap out. That's awesome. Toward homes, network focused on FSBOs. Yeah, if you guys missed the FSBO, if we can drop that, G, if you're on here, if you could drop the FSBO YouTube. We've got an unlisted YouTube channel with our trainings. We can drop that. That'd be amazing. $2 million listing appointment this week. Man, good. Chris, I'm going to call you out there. That's unless you said it in the last week, it's not an actual positive focus because it hasn't happened yet. So if you said it last week, then it counts. But if not, you've got to put in another positive focus. And then next week, you can tell us that you got the listing. Closing last week, booked first listing appointment for January. Amazing. Listing appointment tomorrow. Candy, same thing. If you said it in the last week, it counts. All right, so the FSBO mastery was just placed in the chat. Awesome. All right, cool. So if you didn't put in your positive focus, this allows me to just see where you guys are at, and for you to be encouraged by others that are continuing to do the work and get the results. Let me start with this. We're going to get into lead conversion challenge. Cameras on if you guys are able. I don't have a full page of cameras. So I need a full page of faces. It ends at Rhonda. Rhonda's my last. So I've only got 4. I've only got 28. Brandon just came on. That's good. He's my 30th. I need the full 7 by 7. I need 49 on here. So we'll keep going. Kathy's here. Jim turned on his camera. He's looking good for the new year. Love it. All right, so let's get after it here. So let me ask so some of you went through the annual planning process. I want everyone to get in the chat and give me your most important business goal for 2024. and something that is like very specific. We went through the one. I think everyone should watch this. G, if you could grab it, it's on Chris Colgan, Colgan's YouTube channel. He's one of my business partners. He did an interview. See if you can find it, G. He did an interview with a girl that sold 52 homes in her first year. And it's really, really good. Her goal, I'm giving you some context here. Her goal was to do 2 listing appointments a week. So her goal was to go on 104 listing appointments her first year in real estate. And she knew if she could do that, she would hit her goal of 52. I bet you she didn't hit it every week, but she was obsessed with just getting in front of a couple sellers a week. So as you think about the most important business goal for 2024, it should be something like that. Something that you look at every day. It's like, oh crap, I forgot. My most important goal for 2024 is to get in front of 2 sellers a week. What am I doing today to achieve my most important goal in my business? A lot of agents will set a goal like do 15 million of volume this year. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, I know what it means. Like, okay, 15 million is 450K GCI. I'm going to spend 50,000. I'm going to net 400, but it's like not a goal that you can actually act on today. So most of you are at the point in your business where you need a goal that you could look at and act on a regular basis versus like you know, do a Facebook Live every day. Actually, that might be an actual good one for some of you. So make sure your number one goal for 2024 is something that is gonna keep you focused on the daily, if that makes sense. All right, so let me see. So everyone go in. So close 100 transactions in 2024. Maybe an awesome one, but that's like a lagging indicator. Like it's like a lagging goal. It's technically, yes, it is a goal, but I want to know that the activity that you're going to do to be able to produce that result. So you can obsess about that one thing. Awesome. So one new buyer seller met each week. That's a really good one. So that's 100. So is that 52 new meetings, Jill, or is that 104 new meetings? One buyer, one seller per week. Create 12 videos during the first 60 days of 2024. Joe, you got to ask yourself if that's going to be the thing that's going to get you the production you want. It could be a goal, but I want your most important goal to be the thing that drives you on the daily. And I'm kind of leading you guys. Like for most of you guys, it should be to get in front of X sellers a week. Something very specific. I want you guys very, very dialed in. So when you're having a conversation with your dry cleaner, or you're having a conversation with a friend, or you're having a conversation with someone at an open house, or you're door knocking 50 doors before an open house to neighborhood owners, you're doing it because your goal is to get in front of 104 sellers, 104 listing appointments. All right. Anna Marie says 2 listing appointments a week. Yes. 1 buyer appointment. Do live video every week. Love it. 3-hour lead gen, social media daily. That's a really good one as well. 3 listing appointments met per week. That's an awesome one. So that's 156 Mets. Brandon, just curious, how many Mets did you have last year compared to so if you did 150 listing appointments, actual Met listing appointments, how much of an increase would it be from last year? So prospecting 2.5 hours a day. Yeah, really the most successful agents are able to bring their annual goals into the daily. It's the elusive, goal that like, yeah, selling 100 homes is great, but like what does it mean today? Like what can I do to sell 100 homes this year today on January 2nd? It's like, oh crap. There's like 100 things I can do today, and it doesn't actually focus you. So we want to get everything down to to the annual, down to the quarterly, to the monthly, to the weekly, to the daily, to the hourly. D2D2 database. I don't know what that means. Sounds cool though. Lead gen 1 hour a day. Renee, depending on your goals, I heard this stat and I have no idea if it's right. And you guys tell me if it sounds right. This was a speaker at an event I went to in August. He said 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, and 3 hours a day. He said agents that do 1 hour a day generally sell about 12 homes per year. If you do 2 hours a day laser focused, you can sell about 2 homes a month or 24 a year. And it's the agents that commit to and laser focus and track their numbers, and they do 3 hours a day laser focused. Those are the agents that are selling 3 to 4 plus homes per month consistently. And those are the agents that have a shot at buying back their time, at building systems, getting leverage. And so you guys tell me if that rings true. So I'm not picking on your goal, or Renee said 1 hour lead gen. But Renee, if your goal is to sell 12 homes, then that's a good 1 hour a day is good. If you want to sell 24 homes, you're probably going to undershoot. And I'll call you out here because I don't want to tell you that on December 31st when you only sold 12 homes. If you want to sell more than that. 200 conversations a week, that's a really good one. So that's 40 a day. That is strong. I had a guy in real estate B school. He ultimately was able to scale, to 450 or 500 sides. And his first 3 years in the business, he made no less than 60 contacts a day, Monday through Friday. So he made 300 contacts a week for 150 weeks, his first 150 weeks in the business. So that ends up being, I think, what is that? So 60 times 300. So 45,000 meaningful conversations his first 3 years in real estate. That's more than, like, if you took 10 agents combined, that's more than probably 10 agents do in their whole career. So he just was able to shorten the learning curve and kind of knock it out and get it all out of the way. And I didn't do that. So I hit like 20 a day. There's no way I could do 60 a day. Sheris said, contact at least 5 people in my sphere of influence each day. That's a really good one. Very, very specific. So Mark says 12, 8 listings taken per quarter, 6 listings sold per quarter leads into the buyers. I like that one. 75K per quarter. Awesome, awesome. 40 per day, easy money. Yeah, I put, you guys ever see that Choose Your Hard post? I posted it recently. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's like, being super fit is hard. Being, super out of shape is hard. Choose your hard. Being married is hard. Being divorced is hard. Choose your hard. I got like mixed reviews on it because some people don't like it, and there are extenuating circumstances. But I think it's all hard. Like being marginal in real estate and not doing the work, like the focused work on the daily, is really hard. Like you're just going to be 100 years in the business, and you're not going to be financially free, and you wouldn't have had a chance to buy your time back. And it's really, really hard. And sitting down for 5 hours a day and having conversation after conversation, is also, I guess, technically it's hard. I've got a good call coming up for February about call reluctance that you guys are going to love. I think it's going to be the first Tuesday in February. All right, so let me stop talking here. So let's get into the lead conversion challenge. I think what I'm about to go through, I think everyone needs to do like every 90 days. And I'll kind of roll through it. So Annalise just dropped a document. There's 2 documents that we'll go through. One is is a tracker. And then the next one, Annalise, if you can drop the next one, is just a script book. Yep. So there's 2 documents in there. I want you guys to save both of those. Oh, my dogs are going. Let me just close my door. Hold on one second. My dogs are going crazy. All right, so let me pull up a little bit of I want to kind of guide the conversation here. And I want to hear from you guys about what gets in the way of you doing this work. What gets in the way of doing this work? Let me start with this. I want to hear you guys in the chat. So if you're not hitting your production goals, like I said, let's say that those stats are right. 1 hour a day gets you 1 home per month. 2 hours a day gets you 2 closings per month. 3 hours a day gets you 3, 4, 5 plus closings per month. I was pretty committed to 12 to 15 hours of like laser focused new business development when I was scaling my business. And, it allowed me, I did 44 transactions and then 54 and then 66 personal production in my first 3 years. So I got to the 3, 4, 5 plus homes, and then you just have some more fun decisions to make, and you can get other people to come in and do the things you don't like and all that good stuff. But what gets in the way, knowing that it's basically a numbers game. Sales in any industry, sales is a numbers game. Yes, we want to have the warmest leads. We want to have marketing helping us warm up leads. I was never a cold caller. There are people that can cold call successfully and it works. Generally, I'm more of a generate leads and have people reach out to me, or have a pipeline of nurtures and whatnot. But what gets in your way, knowing that, let's say, 3 hours a day of laser focused new business development, new conversations with would-be buyers and sellers, that is the prerequisite for success in real estate, but you don't do it. What gets in your way? Why wouldn't you do that? And just be honest. And I want everyone to go into the chat. Simple, not easy, right? Typically, agents do not do what they need to do because it's not easy to do. It's easier not to do them. We find busy work to feel busy. Fear. So Sasha, that first call in February would be really good for you. I've got a guy that is like the master of like for if you have any fear around calling people, it is like a deeply I'll let him explain it. So show up for the first Tuesday in February. It'll be a really, really good one. So finding people to call. I get in my way. I'm afraid. I love the honesty. It's been a process of getting myself out of the way, jumping after BS that comes up, and learning how to focus. New in my city and not established an SOI yet. Burning out and not getting near enough answers. Lead gen is often a delayed result. Oh, that's a good one, right? So you go to the gym once and you're like, I should be fit. It's like, oh, it's not how it works. That's a good one. Same thing, if I struggle with my weight and I yo-yo with my weight, but I think if I ate a donut and I gained 20 pounds as I ate the donut, I would never eat a donut again. So it works in reverse too. Like if you knew, that the donut would instantly put on the weight, it'd be so easy not to eat the donut. Jumping after BS, self-discipline, huge fear around calling people. So it sounds like it'll be timely to have our that February call. Get distracted, making the cold calls. Trouble is locking in the appointment. They want to talk about everything. Then ego and stubborn, getting in my own way and not doing what others have done to get results. Plus, I've gotten okay results not doing it. Yeah, so really good point Tom makes. He's newer to our world. Selling 25 to 30 homes, X number of years in the business, and just being comfortable with that. Versus like, what would it look like? What would I need to do, and how would I need to act differently to sell 100 homes? where I'm just doing listings and I've got a couple of junior agents under me taking all the buyers and I've tripled my take home income, right? So just reimagining and being able to lay down all the things, I think Tom, you did 27 transactions last year. So 27 transactions is like 1.5% of agents, right? So it's like I'm already the top. Why would I want to do more? But that leads to a lot of complacency and not complete financial freedom either. The financial freedom comes in the 60 to 80 to 100 transactions, and just keep pushing for a couple years to get there. Squirrels for sure. Prospecting is events, open houses, networking, and referrals. Yeah, so there are different ways to slice this thing. So you have to be honest. So Kat makes a good point. You have to be honest with yourself. What is your most dollar productive activity? If you can do 3 open houses a week and that generates 50 to 60 legit contacts, that you meet buyers and sellers at these open houses that you run, and that increases your database and you're making those follow-up calls during the week, that's something that's available for most everyone, because you can connect with someone at your brokerage and hold their homes open, if you don't have listings. Not using what I've learned, not doing what I need to do. Does anyone struggle with just basic time blocking? Raise your hand if you have your calendar time blocked. Okay, now keep your hand up. Wait, what? I forgot what question I asked. All right, I want to know this. I want to know, like, you need to time block your calendar and then you just give up the time block, right? Who struggles with that? Like, I have 8 to 11 blocked off every morning and then I give it up, right? So that's the most common. There isn't anyone does anyone think you can like succeed in real estate without a chunk of your time devoted to sales activities? There are a lot of agents that are under the false assumption because they're marketed systems and like we'll take over all that for you, and none of that stuff works. But there are agents still looking for it. And that's why these referral companies exist, where they'll take 35% of your commission check, now 40%, because agents don't want to actually pick up the phone. And agents are willing to pay 40% to Zillow to have a slightly higher than average quality lead given to them. Where like if you can run your own Google pay-per-click, if you wanted to do home search leads, you can run your own Google pay-per-click and generate 4 times more profitable closings on paid home search leads. So it's tough because there are people that are promising a lot of things and it's just not the truth. I'm just reading Kathy's comment here. Yeah, so what's funny is that would anyone, if you had a listing appointment in your calendar, would anyone give up a listing appointment? So tell me, what's the mentality when you see that 8:30 to 11:30 time block in there? Are you mentally not valuing that the same way as a listing appointment? Is that kind of what, is anyone willing to share? Unmute yourself. Kathy, unmute yourself.
Yes,
When you,
I'll give it something else up but I wouldn't do a listing appointment. That's solid. It's not moving in my calendar.
yeah. So what goes through your mind when you negotiate with yourself in the morning where you're like, I don't feel like doing the new business development time block today?
I got to do some other stuff that trumps what I need to do.
Yeah.
I easily justify it, easily.
Yeah. And I don't know if my mindset on it, thanks, Kathy. If my first coach was Craig Proctor, and right or wrong, he shared with us, and this was maybe just grilled into my head, that the last position he gave up in his entire company was inside sales. He got to the point where he was like multi-million-dollar GCI. I think he got as big as 6 million top line Canadian. where he was still in inside sales when he was 3, 4, 5 million GCI because nobody could convert like he converted over the phone. So even giving up the outside sales appointment, even giving up the actual listing appointment, but you got to get to the point where it's a habit and you're good enough at it to want to do it. Otherwise, it's just super, super painful. And it doesn't, everyone just implies that it means cold calling. It doesn't have to be cold calling. You have to figure out what your lead sources are going to be. And it's just sitting in that time block and committing to generating new business. Even if it's just leaving messages for your Facebook friends on Facebook Messenger, right? Like if you have no database set up, you have no system for doing anything set up, you took one of the scripts, SOI scripts that we have, and you just committed to going through your Facebook friends, starting in alphabetical order, and just all the ones that are local, you just came up with a script. Hey, Happy New Year's. I've got big goals. Who do you know looking to sell? You could fluff it up more than that. But if you committed to leaving 20 Facebook Messenger audio messages on your Facebook every day until you got to Z and then just started over at A. And then the next one is like, okay, it's Valentine's Day. Hopefully you've got some romance in your life. If you need a home eval or, I mean, you could just cycle, that could be your whole strategy, right? That could be one of the commitments you make on a regular basis. I think a lot of times we just don't, as an industry, well, as a humanity, like human nature is not to follow through. We're always looking for the distracting. We're very easily distracted, and we want there to be something easier than what it actually takes to be successful. Anyone else have any, and I'm going to go into the actual commitments I want you guys to make here in a second for the first quarter. But anyone else have any willing to share some of the obstacles or challenges you're having around more so, not so much like, hey, what lead sources? I'm not really going to cover lead sources today. More so like, what needs to be done. You see other agents doing it. You're just not doing it yourself. Is anyone else willing to share their struggles around that? Richie, anything that you could, I know you're kind of, you're in and out of this struggle. Anything Richie had to share?
Yeah, I mean it's very hard. I think it's keeping up with the Joneses is what I'm having the hardest thing with, right? I loved, believe it or not, cold calling because it was easy. I come into my office, I press a couple buttons, I put in an earpiece, and it starts calling. Like I loved it. But now way less people are calling. The lawsuits and all the scary stuff you hear about calling, do not call, and things like that concern me sometimes. And then you see these people talking about social and I'm an Instagram and I get leads from just doing videos and you're like, well, I want to do that, right? So it is a little bit of a squirrel versus I think making the calls is kind of an old school mindset, which I think is still very tactical and efficient. However, what we see on our phones every day is brainwashing us to believe that we need to look good, sound good, and just make cute videos. And don't get me wrong, I do think that does bring in a lot of business, but I'm getting caught up to like, which one do I go all in for? That's just kind of where I think maybe some other people are caught up too, is like, which one do we really believe in and go in? Because like we've all mentioned many times, you can do this for 60, 90 days, 6 months and not see anything out of it. And then eventually stuff starts coming up, right? And it's like sticking in with it and staying consistent and trusting something blindly is very hard, especially in this market.
Yeah, that's really good.
I mean, does that make sense or resonate with anyone else, or at least you?
Yeah, I think it does 100%. And I I don't know if I shared this example. I'll share it in the most respectful way that I possibly can. Is that there are folks that are preying on us, trying to sell us. Um, I took 50 FISBOs in a month, and I did it via this funnel. And let me show you how to do it. It does not work, guys. I'm just telling you, none of that shit works. Or yes, there are people selling 100 homes a year, and social media is their main mode of getting business. But that's really hard to duplicate, right? Because don't take this in any sexist kind of way, but there are, you know, really attractive, really awesome backstory, came from $0 and now they're super massively successful. They're amazing on camera and they generate business from their social media. And they're like, hey, you should only use Instagram. You can get all your business from Instagram or TikTok, right? Not everyone's going to go on TikTok, and you're not going to, most agents are not going to go on TikTok and become TikTok famous. I've come to the conclusion, even with me on YouTube, I've been doing content for a long freaking time. I've just come to the conclusion that my stuff is not interesting enough to compete with all the stuff that there is on YouTube, which is a pretty like harsh, it sounds a little bit harsh, but I just think there is way more interesting stuff out there. Like, I think between, if you have a choice to watch my video on YouTube or like, I don't know if you guys ever watch Big Dogs, Big DAWGS. He just does all these funny things where he's like giving away money and gifts and has nothing to do with real estate. But my real estate video is competing with him. And he has like 4 million subscribers. Every video gets 10 million views. You know what I mean? So social media and YouTube isn't for everyone. And 1 out of 10 agents might crack the code on YouTube or might crack the code on social, and you won't know until 12 months in. And 1 out of 10 agents won't even be consistent enough to get the result in 12 months in, right? So the only thing you can control is that every morning I sit down at 8:30 and I commit to, in any means possible, even if it's just picking up your cell phone and starting at A and going through your cell phone and voice texting everyone that you know that lives local, right? Like, you're just committing to the process of connecting with people on a regular basis. And eventually you have to get your phone and your Gmail and your Facebook into your database and create a touch system and that sort of thing. So any other, and so if you're caught up in that, like wanting to chase the thing that makes it easier, you can do that. Just do it in your time block that is dedicated to research and development. Like 2 hours a week, you have 2 1-hour time blocks that are dedicated to research and development, and you're saving stuff on Facebook or you're saving websites or you're putting it in a folder, an email folder that you're going to spend a little bit of time researching it. But you're not ever giving up your morning. Your morning is new business development, which is lead generation and lead follow-up. And then you just have to be honest with yourself. If your financial situation is such that you don't have a choice but to generate new business every day, then you have to really come to grips with that reality. And for some of you, that's, if you're a little bit financially comfortable, it makes it a little bit harder to do the work that's required. But then you have to have a bigger goal, right? You just have to keep setting bigger goals. And so you're able to a little bit move the goalpost, but you're also, so Richie's a good example. My guess is, Richie, you're financially totally okay, even though last year wasn't as good as the year before. You're probably comfortable, but you still do want to grow the business. So you're kind of caught in this, like, it wouldn't matter to Richie probably if he didn't prospect this week because he's got money in the bank. But Richie does have a specific goal. He wants $1 million business. He just wants to work on listings. He doesn't want to do evenings and weekends, maybe a couple agents and a good admin on his team. That's his entire vision for the business. And it's only going to come with the daily and then getting a couple agents around him doing the daily. And that's how $1 million business is built. All right. And it is just truth. So I think I've shared this before, but I'll share it again. I'm for my coaching company, I'm doing sales currently. So I'm currently having calls with agents and I'm breaking down their business. What are they doing? What are their challenges? What have they tried before? What are their goals? What's your financial situation? Almost all of them have bought into or are considering buying into, like, I'll just give you my money and you'll solve all of it for me. Either like a funnel system or now there's like AI is coming into real estate. Some guy didn't get any results, but he spent $30,000 in 3 months on somebody that promised him they were going to set listing appointments in his calendar for him. Literally not a single $30,000 spent, not a single listing appointment. It was going to be all done via AI. Right. So if you're in the mindset that maybe in the future, I'll tell you guys, if it's true and it happens and it's real, we will talk about it on a Tuesday call. But it will be somebody that, like, when Mark talked about FSBOs, I'm like, hey, how many FSBOs have you sold? Okay, 177. So you're probably pretty qualified to talk about it. Can you come on and share what you actually did to do it? Mark didn't come on like, I have a funnel that will generate 30 FSBO listing appointments and just give me, 10 grand and I'll set it up for you. There are people that are coming into our industry that haven't done the thing. He's like, well, maybe I should. And so it is tempting to think of that's the answer, but it's not the answer yet. And here's the thing, if it does become the answer, Zillow is probably going to figure it out before I think probably anyone else does. So Zillow will probably get to the point where they're just going to charge you a 60 to 70% referral fee, and they will put the listing appointment in your calendar. And I don't want you guys to play that game, right? So that's where if the AI game is headed that way, they'll just take more of your commission check, and there will be plenty of agents that go down that path, but we're not going to go down that path because you cannot have financial freedom if you're giving away even 40% or 30% to a referral site. All right, so let's talk about any questions, any challenges, any fears, anything. Just get it in the chat, and we'll talk about it. Let me pull up the main document. I want you guys to commit. Let me see if I missed anything. Let me share my screen. I just want to make sure I don't miss a few points that are going to kind of just drive home a little bit my thoughts on business and how. All right, let me share my screen here, and I'll run through a little bit of. You guys see my screen? Tom, thumbs up. Awesome. All right, so make sure you guys just grab this document. It's pretty self-explanatory. Most of you guys will just be using one of the Sphere scripts. The buyer script in there is great. There's a yard sign script in there as well. I just want to go through a couple points here. This is the decision. So when I had Kathy come on, and she has her time blocks. Everyone, we sort of have our time blocks in place. What I realized early on in my journey, that there was nothing more dollar productive than I could do than set consultations with buyers and sellers. So I knew mentally that if I was able to sit still, I hated every minute of it. I didn't love it. I tracked everything on paper. I did all the crap I'm asking you guys to do. And doing that consistently for 2.5 to 3 years gave me a lot of leverage. Even before that, even just a year in, it gave me the leverage to be able to hire an assistant. And then 1.5 years after that, I hired my first buyer agent. I was like, I got to get out of buyers. Right. So, but it came from this realization that most agents were making $20 to $50 an hour. So if an average, let's say it's, only 2,000 hours, which is a 40-hour work week, I would argue that the average agent works more than that. But if it's 2,000 hours, most agents don't make more than $100,000. Let's say you made $200,000 pre-tax profit, net of expenses, net of brokerage fees, $200,000 take home. divided by 2,000 hours is $100 per hour. So if you're making 200,000 and you're working a 40-hour work week, your business freedom index is $100 per hour. I didn't want to make $100 per hour. I wanted to make 250, 500, $1,000 an hour. And I was just, even if I didn't love it and I didn't want to admit it to myself, I was honest with myself that the only thing I could do in my business that would make me that kind of money was to set consultations. And so for some of you, just having the mindset of knowing, and you may not be good enough at the activity to make 500 bucks an hour doing it, but in the course of a week, if you can have 100 to 150 meaningful conversations, you'll set 2 or 3 appointments and you'll bring in a client or 2 that will actually close. Right? So that's kind of like how this thing works. And if you're not doing the income producing activities, then you won't have a shot at buying back your time. And you'll just constantly be in the rut of not being successful. That said, it's totally building a muscle. Like for some of you, this is going to be super foreign. For some of you, tracking your numbers is super foreign. It doesn't feel, I'm looking at Tom and just the way he's nodding and knowing he's like our newest, well, our second newest member to our $1 million agent method. It's like, it's being willing to kind of wipe the slate clean and say, okay, show me like this is year 0 instead of year whatever this year is for you. Almost like deciding that you're just going to be playing a different game, right? So the game I want you guys to play is this game, right? Yes, we have marketing doing heavy lifting for us, but the game is always going to be the same. If we can use technology and AI makes it easier, and we'll deal with those things in this process, but it's still about having meaningful conversations. It's still about setting consultations, meeting with buyers and sellers, signing them, getting them closed in a way where they're so unbelievably thrilled with you as a business and the touch points even outside of the transaction that it turns into an additional transaction, right? So we're all committing to playing a different game. The good news is, I hope all of you do this, but the good news is that most agents won't do this. Most agents will continue to throw money or time looking for things that will do all of this for them, which is actually good news, guys. Because if every agent were willing to sit down and commit to X number of meaningful conversations per day, you'd all be out of business. We'd have to have 10% of the agents, right? So the fact that most agents don't do this is a really, really good thing, right? I think Mark Giosa started off with this comment that this is really simple, but it's not easy. If you're a procrastinator, a really good book, I think it's by Brian Tracy, is Eat That Frog. And New Business Development, I think it's by Mark Twain. I think it's pretty random. It's like a quote by Mark Twain. If you had, a frog to eat, when's the best time of day to eat it? And it's like, a frog. Like, there's no good time of day to eat it. But if it was sitting on your desk looking at you all day long and I had to eat it before the end of the day, that would be breakfast, right? Because you don't want to look at the frog all day. So the first part of your day has to be new business development. And it has to be like, if you could muster up 4.5 hours and just think of them as 3 listing appointments back to back to back with a 10-minute break in between, where like, you cannot interrupt me because I'm on what's more important than a listing appointment. I'm in my new business development time blocks. This is going to be the thing that provides the financial freedom that I've been looking for. And it is where the money is made. You don't have to do it forever, right? It gets easier over time. I did this. I was out of this activity 100% within 3 years of getting into real estate, maybe in my 4th year. And I never went like big inside sales team or anything like that. I'd never cold called or anything like that. We You know, I just had other people that stepped up and took over the production. Um, Others of you made the comment, you know, that it's, you know, you can feel productive. But are you productive or are you busy? You know, so productive is that you're working as many hours in the day on the most dollar productive tasks. And unless you're like super new to real estate and you just suck at everything right now, I would argue that some of you are some of your hours, like let's take a 50-hour work week. I bet all of you can earn $1,000 an hour. The challenge is it's just not every hour. But when you're in a listing appointment, you take a listing, or you get good at calling your sphere, um, or you do some leveraged marketing activity, you know, where you do a giveaway, or, you know, something that brings in like an unequal amount of result versus the unit of time you put in. There are things you do on a regular basis that are worth $1,000 an hour. You're just not doing enough of them in a week. You know, so if you want to net, you know, 20,000 a month, we just need to make sure there are like 20 hours a month where you're in that sweet spot, you know, where you're really doing $1,000 an hour work. So anyway, so I want you guys to write these 5 things down. These are the only 5 things that give you a shot at making hundreds of dollars per hour. And then I want you to look at everything else through this lens. And are you giving up? And Richie has them written down. I think that's what he's showing us. So the P and L are new business development, prospecting, and lead follow-up. So let's call it lead generation and lead follow-up. So that's new business development, P and L. A is appointments, consultations that you set in the morning that you go on in the afternoon. N is negotiating those buyers and sellers under contract for the first time, not negotiating appraisals, not negotiating repairs. Technically, that can be done by an admin. You may not have an admin to do it right now, but that's not the N I'm talking about. And S is working on systems. So as we commit to this lead conversion challenge, and I want you guys to get in the chat and commit to what you're gonna actually do. These are the 5 things that make you money. So there's some of you that can't get out of all the other crap right now. Like you're just not in a position where you can delegate, or you have anyone in your world that, when you look at all the things outside of this, it's like, well, who's going to do the MLS remarks? Who's going to design the brochure? Who's going to, you know, put together the buyer packets or prep for listing appointments or do my social media, or I don't know. Right. So it may be you doing double duty at first, where you get a little bit of bandwidth where you can buy 20 hours of an agent in your market that is doing no production. Right. This kind of market will eat up agents that will be looking for hourly work. Right. So you've got to push a little bit harder, maybe on these 5 things, so you can buy back a little bit of your time for a month or 2. And then you need to protect your time. There's no way around this. I can't be there with you in the morning when you make the decision to not do this work. You get the muscle and the habit of this. And let's take Richie for an example. You know, Richie has a vision of being $1 million agent, working 40 hours or less a week and doing 80% of his business is listings. The only way that's going to happen is if Richie builds this discipline out and he brings a few other agents into his world that are supporting, you know, is this culture of productivity. And then a lot of you just need to be honest with yourself. You know, if you know you should be doing this and you don't do it, figure out why. Are you comfortable? Are you scared? You know, whatever it is, you've got to be able to figure it out. But I also know that we are taking on the craziest challenge. Many of us are married. Many of us have children. Many of us are trying to care for our physical body, our spiritual, our spiritual side, and we're in business and we have no leverage. So if you're an agent and you have no admin, you're doing 80% of the stuff you do is administrative in nature, and you're still trying to get this whole thing off the ground. And then you gotta, and if you're a female, it is even worse because your husbands are probably don't help you out as much as they could or should. I've seen a lot of that. You're still cooking, you're still cleaning, you're still managing the kids, you're still getting to all the crap, and it's almost impossible to achieve it all. So some of you need to negotiate, and guys too. Some of you need to be honest with your spouses about, hey, listen, this next year is going to be. I did this with my spouse recently. I said, honey, this is going to go sideways, like really bad for like the next 3-4 months. I'm going to go back into, I'm sitting back in the sales seat. I'm taking calls from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I've got like 90 minutes of post day work. Some days I've been finished at like 8:30, and she's like, what are you doing? I'm not doing it for the money at this point. I'm just recalibrating some stuff in the business. But I negotiated it with my spouse ahead of time. So she doesn't expect me, for this season, she doesn't expect me to do what I normally do. And I'm normally engaged at 5:30 and I'm in the game and all that stuff. So last thing I'll do, and then I want you guys to play all out for the last 5 minutes. If you haven't read the book, if you're in our world, you'll get a copy of E-Myth. If you're in our page coaching, you'll get E-Myth and Atomic Habits, and it's required reading. This is a quote from Atomic Habits. So if you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So, and time, your calendar is a system, right? So it's really, really easy. You've got to make a commitment. We'll go through that. You've got a time block. It has to appear in your calendar, right? I do everything that's in my calendar. There's nothing that's in my calendar that I just blow off, right? So you have to honor your calendar in the same way. You have to figure out a way to gamify it and make it fun. Another good book, it's not required reading, but I really like it. It's called Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. It's recently been on Audible, and it's only about a 2-hour Audible. It's really, really good. So the right tools, make sure you're not like, your call lists are organized, your database is organized, so you can work on those in your time blocks and then track your numbers. So let me go through what, actually, this is what I'll just leave this slide up here. One of those documents I posted is a simple activities tracker. Guys, I have not met someone that has scaled they've achieved time and money freedom in real estate that didn't do this every day. If I did, maybe there's the rare exception of someone that went YouTube famous or someone that cracked the code on TikTok that I've never figured out either of those as a real estate agent. It comes down to like how many meaningful conversations. So this actually tracks the number of pickups versus a meaningful conversation. A meaningful conversation is you get more than a minute in and you're in a conversation with somebody. It's not like if you call your friend like, man, Tom, I do not have a minute to chat right now. That's not a meaningful conversation. It's a pickup. So on that one, you'll literally just put a mark through the line. You may have to do a more than 100, more than 50 pickups to get 20 meaningful conversations. I would argue that a meaningful conversation ends when like, listen, I know you only have a minute. Who do you know that's looking to sell? I've got big goals for 2024 and I need your help. Have something that qualifies like as, okay, meaningful conversations when I get to the point where I ask them this question, right? So you don't have to, you can be honest with yourself about what a meaningful conversation. Most people aren't going to be ready to transact. So adding nurtures to the database with full information is really, really important. This is where I would say 80% of your business is going to come from. It's from people that you have a conversation with and they're not ready to do anything right now. And then maybe 10%, maybe 5%. If you have 20 conversations, 25 conversations a day, meaningful conversations, you might set an appointment. The goal is to set an appointment every day. So either a buyer set or a listing set. And then every day, hopefully you're going to be meeting with a buyer or signing a buyer. And this is dependent, but these are the numbers we track forever and always. Minimum required tracking if it's you, if you bring an agent into your world and they're doing it alongside you, or the year I was totally out of production and totally out of my business, I had 10 agents that were literally doing this. So it wasn't any different. Me as a solo agent wasn't different than me not working in the business. It was the same exact cadence. And it was time blocking the first 3 to 4 hours a day for lead gen and lead follow-up. All right. So here is the deal. I want everyone to get in the chat. Let me stop my screen share. All right. Is my screen share stopped? I think it is. All right. So everyone get in the chat. I want you to commit to what's the number of meaningful conversations you're going to have every day, Monday through Friday for the entire first quarter. For some of you, you could have your database organized. They all love you. You've been nurturing them forever. You may have 20 conversations to set an appointment. For some of you, I think Joe shared at one point, he's having 65 conversations when he circle prospects to set a listing appointment. So it could literally be 15 to 20 conversations a day to, if you're cold calling and you've never circle prospected before, it could be 100 conversations to set a listing appointment. I'm not a cold caller, so it's not something we teach in Real Estate B School, even though it works. But you need to base your number of conversations on that. So everyone get in the chat, everyone put in 5 daily, 3 daily, 5 to 10, Monday through Thursday, 10, 5 to 10, 30 to 40, 5 to 10, 60. So that's 60 a day. I love that. That's the story I gave, 300 a week, 20 per day, 10 per day. So 5 to 10 for the first quarter. So building a muscle is part of it. Just know that thing, that's where the math starts. So you're gonna begin to figure out your numbers and know if you're on track to meeting your goals based on that number. For some of you, if it's you could set an appointment out of 10 meaningful conversations, that's like the highest that I've ever seen. Most of you need to be building the muscle to get to 20 to 25 a day. And some of it is organizing the database, some is getting some lead gen levers up and running, so it's not all a straight line. For some of you, you've never done this before at all, so getting to 10 to 5 a day is going to be like the first time you went to the gym in 10 years, and you're going to be sore the next day, right? But just keep getting up day after day. And some of you may start at 5 and quickly you'll adjust to 10, and then you'll get to 15 and you'll get to 20. Awesome. The Audible book, I think I mentioned, was Turning Pro by Stephen Pressfield. So that one document with the 13 weeks, just print it out, staple it, and this is your week 1. So today is your Tuesday of your week 1. Don't wait till next week. Get after it today. And just don't get all down on yourself if you go sideways or you miss a week or you get out of, it's like when I'm on a diet and I'll blow it out for one meal and then I'll say, well, January's blown. It's January 2nd and I'll blow my whole diet for the month because I had one bad meal. Don't do that. If you have one bad day and you're like, oh shoot, I just committed to 5 a day and I missed it on the first day, just the next day, just get right back after it and just build this muscle, right? Just because you miss one day of workout doesn't mean you just give up workouts for the rest of the month or the rest of the week. You just get back after it next week. You identify the thing that got you off track or the thing that got you distracted, and then you just recommit to the activity. Okay. All right, guys. I wish there was an easier way. There is not. When I find it, you'll be the first to know. I'm not holding anything back from you guys. I promise. I love you guys. I respect you enough to tell you the truth on all this stuff and not to lead you to believe that there's an easier way of doing this. That said, we are always building systems in our businesses that make all of this easier, right? The system that Mark gave away a few weeks ago, that is a highly leveraged system. Even though you're making the calls, highly leveraged. I think everyone, if you haven't looked at the FSBO system, I think everyone should be incorporating that into their business. It won't get you to 20 conversations a day because there's probably not 20 new FSBOs in every market every day, but it probably could get you to 3 to 5 conversations of your 20 a day just on that one training. And it's really easy to organize. So Diana, it was posted earlier in the chat. I've got to close this meeting down. So I'm already late for my next meeting. So, we did it. It was either live in Game Changers or if you're in Real Estate B School, it's in the member portal. And it's called FSBO Mastery with Mr. One and Only Mark Giosa. So, all right. Love you guys. We'll see you next week. Be good. Bye.